Hi guys, and welcome back to Motor Joshing. So today we're talking about Pumbaa and the second coming. So we might as well call it a comeback. Let's get into it. So as you guys know, Pumbaa's been off the road for a bit. There's been bits and bobs and bits. There's been lots of stuff going on, primarily since the crash, and been putting things on and doing bits to make it winter ready and all that kind of stuff. So today is a bit of an overview. So first things first, Pumbaa is perfect. So I've been on Pumbaa the last couple of days, going back and forth to work in the cold. It's been 1 degree and things, and 99 problems and Pumbaa ain't one. So it's nice. It no longer currently hitting my bank balance quite as hard. There were a few things in there that we needed to do anyway, so we knew were coming up, but there were some other things that just had us in the testicles. So I think for the most part I'm gonna ride uptown, park where I parked for my reveal video, just in front of the castle, and then we'll have a bit of a rundown as to what we've done, what's changed, what's going on, and then go from there. It's probably the best bet. So we're here just in front of the castle, and I've jumped off Pumbaa. So it might be a bit noisy with the traffic, but hopefully it's not too bad. So those who've seen the crash aftermath will know that the front had to get modified, so we'll go over that. So when the plastic shroud on the front basically snapped, the waterproof housing for the clocks and the front light had to go. So we had to do a bit of a cafe racer type move around. So it's a new front headlight with clamps, new indicators all round. They were just cheap as chips. I will put all the stuff I bought in the description for links. Then further to that, since I've had the bike, we've put the crash bars on as well. So they've been added since I bought the bike. Next up, I've had a clutch and a throttle cable. I've done the headstock bearings as well, so that's been done. They were a little bit loose. Obviously I've serviced the bike, done oil change and all the usual stuff. So next modification is actually the seat. So this is just a cheapy cover, and Dad did it for me. It's not perfect, but it's better than the ripped seat that I had, so I can't really grumble with that at all. The bike's had Avon Road Rider tyres put on there, and it's really transformed the bike. It's a lot more agile now, actually goes around corners. New set of pads front and back as well, on all that, so that's been done. The next modification since the crash has actually been these shorty exhausts. So there's one on that side, one on the other, and they were cheap as chips. I actually picked them up at a show for 20 quid each. I think on eBay you can get them for £30. Now if anyone's actually got a CX, they just plug straight into the H box. No fuss. I've actually got the baffles in, and it's plenty loud enough, and that's been done. Now, one thing I do need to fix is that I got a bolt on the way for that though. I lost the nut and then pulled the bolt out. The bolt was threaded, so I do have to make that modification. And then we'll get up to the front here. So RNG heated grips went on there, obviously because I ride the bike in winter, that's a must. And then the other modification was I needed new clocks. Now in the world of clocks, you can spend quite a lot and not get too much, so I actually went with this Koso RX2N, and it is very fancy, and it was expensive. Well, it's very expensive, it was 200 quid, and it's got a GP race shift light, but it works perfectly, and fuel gauge worked, and everything's magical on it. So no real complaints on that. Everything works, all illuminated, plumbed in nicely. So you know, in regards to all the modifications, most of them have been just improving on what was there really. Obviously it's a bit more of a cafe racer front look, which I actually prefer, if I'm perfectly honest. since I've done the bits and bobs, it's been not too bad. Now, the most recent problem was actually this front engine housing down here, which is the back plate to the clutch and the oil filter. That actually, the previous owner had actually cracked the seals. So when he opened the oil sump to drain the oil out, unfortunately it's quite a common issue. He cracked the engine casing, and it just meant that it was repaired previously, quite shoddily unfortunately. And then when I did the oil change on it, I cracked that seal, and that was that. But I'll show you some pictures of that now. So you can see from that exactly where it was cracked. It wasn't probably worth welding. It was only £20 for a new cover, so we just went and replaced that. Bit of a big job, but I'll show you some pictures from that now. So all in all, once we got that done, the bike's better than ever really. You know, it's although it's used daily, you know, we are maintaining Pumbaa very well. You know, certain bits I'm not particularly bothered about. Obviously I knew I was going to have to get tyres and pads and all the rest of it. It's unfortunate obviously that a previous owner had done some damage, but like my dad said, you could spend double the money on a nicer, newer bike and still have all the same problems. So I don't regret my decision. So to date, even if you add up some of the stuff I've already talked about, you will note that I'm probably over the asking price of what I paid for Pumbaa, but I think it makes it a better bike and it makes it safer for me, especially in winter. So I've got no complaints to that. I think all in all I'm probably closer to, I've put around about £1,200–1,300, not including labour, and I'll make that abundantly clear that had my dad not been available / forced / guilted into helping me do things on Pumbaa, then I don't think obviously it would necessarily happen. I think most people would have called it a write-off or not bothered to do certain bits and bobs, especially if you're not mechanically minded. So you know, Pumbaa is 35 years old. Things are going to go wrong, and I'm just lucky that I've got a group around me that can help me fix the problems. Anyway, I'll hop back on the bike and we'll chat a bit more. So, are there any regrets over buying Pumbaa? And the answer to that is simply no. Purely because every time something breaks, it is relatively cheap to fix the problem. Now, you know, the crashing thing or whatever, that wasn't my fault, but I didn't want to replace the parts with crap. You know, I could have bought cheaper clocks, I could have bought old clocks. They could have been like the clocks I did buy that just crapped out on me within 4 seconds. And then I'm back in the same position. I got broken clocks. Now I need to use the bike every day. So, you know, I think spending the money on quality digital clocks will be rewarded in the long run, because I know these have warranties and guaranteed and they're accurate and they actually work. But the bike handles perfectly. The exhaust is actually flattened, has actually ramped up some of the mid-range power, and I generally have fun with it now. It rasps a little, it makes some noise, and we can have a good giggle. I don't know where the fuck you're going. Can't make the turn, don't do it. Traffic is bad. It's just a peppy little bike. It's still a heavy bike, sure, but I think it still makes me appreciate my Kawasaki more, getting off a heavy bike onto my Kawasaki. And maintenance wise, holy jeebus, is it a lot easier if you don't have a chain. You just don't have to do as much. It's just clean and clear. You know, you can just give it a rinse to get some of the, you know, the stuff off, and away you go. You're done. That's the gig. It's all over. No messy chains. As a commuter, it is a perfect species. It's still, you know, seen as a cheap and cheerful old gal, and because of that, no one's bothered by it. No one really wants to nick it, and it's marvellous. It's not expensive to insure, well, at least it hasn't been for me, you know. My insurance actually went down this year. When I looked at last year's, it went down, and that was before I added the CX, so I really have no complaints. The bike's great to ride. Okay, it's not a super bike, you know, but I don't have expectations that it is a super bike, or that it's going to be super fast or anything like that. It's just a nice cruise around. It'll do what you need it to do. It'll do 70 all day, no problems, no fuss, no issues, and you know, they have a known and reliable engine. It's well documented. There's a lot of online resources to the bike, but this isn't a bike for someone that doesn't know how to do the maintenance, because if you took this to a garage, I think some garages would probably refuse it, to be honest. You know, if you took this to a Honda dealer now, you ain't gonna know what to do with it, and it would be super expensive. And this is the thing. Half the reason for this bike is that I can cut my teeth on it. That, you know, I can make mistakes and it's relatively cheap to fix. I can cock up stuff. I can have a go myself. And then when it all goes tits up, you know, I am very thankful that I have the resources around me of people that know more than me. Obviously, Martin has one of these, you know, the original model, so he knows the engine and bits and pieces. He's done swing arm, he's changed the swing arms on them before. Obviously, you know, there's lots of documented information on how to fix them, and there's lots of information on, you know, what things could be if things do go wrong as well. So you're not looking for days as to what it could be. There's a very good support forum on website and Facebook, and you can just ask them, and these guys, and a lot of them own a couple of them, not just one, and they've seen it all, and because they've seen it all, you get to tap into that knowledge, and away you go. Now, this hill doesn't look that steep, but it is quite steep, and as you can see, Pumbaa can power up it no problem at all. My yellow flash for my upshifting, so I'll show you that. After another bit, it would have gone red for changing your gears, and I can set all that, I can set all the modes. It's just happy times. And as far as commuters go, I've saved miles on, you know, on my Kawasaki, and I've had a good giggle doing it. I don't feel the need on the CX to, I don't want to say to the need to speed, but I don't feel the need that I do on my other bike to, when I come off certain corners, to over accelerate, or I don't want to say over accelerate. It's easy to have fun on the Kawasaki. And you can still have fun on the CX, but it's a different experience. And because it's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chilled, you don't have to thrash it. Well, you can thrash it, and it's fine with it, but you're not going as fast. It's just a more relaxed approach, I guess. So, you know, if I go on that road to work, you know, it's quite hard to keep me bang on the speed limit in country lanes that realistically should be a 60 mile an hour, and they're a 40, and it's very easy to creep over that speed because of that. Whereas on the CX, you're not bothered, you're just bumbling by, you know, you don't care about having to overtake every car or any of that kind of stuff. It's just you relaxing and chilling and just enjoying the ride. And I think that's good for a work steed. Anyway, I've probably rabbited on. All you need to know is Pumbaa is back and going spiffingly well. No problems. Plan to ride her every day through winter all the way to work and wherever I need. And hopefully the maintenance that I have done and oil changes and all that kind of stuff should have prevented me from needing to do too much until spring, which I'll be doing the last minute stuff before MOTs. Anyway, I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Ta-ta, bye-bye.